and welcome back to Ancient Aliens in Modern Times. We're your hosts, Stephanie Yelovich and
Melanie Wild. Let's get into it.
we have our first guest of the podcast. We are very, very excited today to have Rebecca Keating. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be your first guest.
Oh my gosh, honored to have you here. And I'm just going to read really briefly just a little bit about Rebecca. And then I'll introduce her also as to how we know each other because Rebecca has been a big part of my journey, very honestly. And then we'll get into our chat. So, Rebecca is a published author of The Ultimate Guide to Shamanism. She is an entrepreneur and the creator of Soul Frequency Healer. Rebecca specializes in leading transformative trainings, curating rejuvenating retreats, and crafting deeply personalized ceremonies that inspire growth, healing, embodiment, and mastery. And I will attest to that because Rebecca's ceremonies are my favorite ceremonies to attend. She offers sometimes a cacao breathwork and sound healing ceremony or sound journey, I should say. And they are very, very special events. And also, you draw a really beautiful crowd of humans together. And I always value being in your spaces. So, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for that
So,
introduction.
may I share briefly how Rebecca and I met and connected? Great. So, I ended up in, Rebecca used to have a shop, and ended up in it, Shaman Sisters, and it was in Mississauga. And by happenstance, the first time, the second time through mutual friends. And it was actually because of my dear friend Rebecca here that I created my voice course. So I created a course called the Voice Alchemist Activation Journey course. And it was funny because Rebecca said, I'd really love to have something like this in this space, but can you make it like I come forward with a workshop of like a couple hours. She's like, can you make like a 6 week course though? I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I very quickly wrote and created this course, and we hosted it at her shop, and 12 people signed up within like 2 weeks. And so that was the beginning of a very important journey in my life and in my voice work. So thank you for being that person to be the catalyst for that to be created. It was
I
amazing.
love that. I love that. It makes me so happy.
So, would you mind telling us, like, what has your journey been kind of with the voice? What has your using your voice brought you to these days? And yeah, just let us know what you've kind of been up to and what's going on.
Thank you for that. I would say my journey with my voice has been a lifetime of being very suppressed in my voice from a child, actually, like from my father not letting me speak. It started with that. And I know from many lifetimes. And I actually, it was in about 2010 when I started to really go down the shamanic path. And it was even earlier than that because I was doing all kinds of stuff. But I really remember being in like a group setting and realizing how closed off I was and how I was so afraid to use my voice. It was like this fear that was beyond, beyond normal. And so I just continued to learn to seek opening up my voice, and I was very aware of it, and I did every voice activation and every course, and I hired mentors, and I went through many years and of really trying to open up my voice. And even when I was, having my shop and holding group ceremonies and having speaking in front of, sometimes a group of 60 people in a ceremony and doing all those things, I was still very much under expressed. It was my comfort zone, so it wasn't a big deal, but outside of my comfort zone. And yeah, it was only just the last year after, decades of trying to heal my voice and digging deep into the reasons and healing the trauma It was really just through actually moving through the fire. Like, really, I know everything I had done prior built and everything helped and all of those things, but it was really just moving through the fire of kind of showing up and doing videos, just doing videos. And yeah, it was very fascinating because I really started to detox like out of my body. I started purging out of my body all my old injuries. I've been in two really serious motor vehicle accidents where I had
Mm.
neck injuries. All of those injuries came back with a vengeance. So it was like moving through that deep healing of trauma, which is what I experience in the work that I do with clients as well. It was like all the deeper layers of trauma came up. Like I had physical stuff coming out of my body, physical symptoms, and I just kept doing
Wild.
videos. I just kept going, just kept going,
Atta girl.
moving through it, and I'm still going through it, but I'm doing it. So just going through the fire is what really sort of brought me to the healing around that. And I know there's so many people out there. Steph would know this too with her work
Mm.
with the voice, is that I'm not the only person existing that, many women, because a lot of it has to do with our gifts and, the history of the witch wound or whatever you want to call it,
Huge. Yep.
being suppressed, being persecuted, and lots of trauma there. So, yeah, so my work
Wow.
now currently is really, I've kind of moved away from, I spent many years doing in person ceremonial work and owning a store and owning a healing space and retreat space. And I've moved in 2024, I moved into sort of more of an online role, which is why I had to start using my voice more. And I couldn't hide in the shadows anymore. And I really started to, yeah, just really everything I've learned throughout my years in ceremonies and stuff like that, I just put into a training. And I teach, it's called Soul Frequency Healer, and it's really teaching people how to do this really deep root cause healing work that's very powerful. And it's also geared towards, there's a mastermind component, so helping women and men sort of really step into their gifts through the mastermind work. Yeah.
Incredible. I know that through this online work that you've been entering into, more so even just having that public platform. Melanie and I were discussing the other day, what it is to put your voice on a platform like this, like on a podcast or on social media, and what comes with that, like what can come forward from doing that. So, what's been your experience? Like in, I know a little bit about this, um, but what has surprised you or not? About that journey of when you share the ultimate truths that may not be others' truths.
Yeah, I think that, like, for me, the first thing that really was shocking is that a lot of people that I thought would support me didn't. And a
Mm,
lot of people left my life immediately,
mm,
including very close family members.
wow.
And so it was like, it's almost like you go through this thing where you put yourself out there and you think, oh, people are going to support me, and then they don't support you. There was a lot of energetic backlash from specifically like other women, especially,
Mm, hmm.
which is really unfortunate. But I know that it's hitting up against a wound, so
Sure.
that's going to happen. You're
Yeah.
going to bump up against other people's wounds and their projections and things like that. So, you really have to just not take anything personally,
Sure.
essentially. But yeah, a lot of backlash. A lot of people left my life immediately. So rearranging of friends and all that, and I just kept going and just knew that that was kind of normal. And then you also get the people who just don't agree with your point of view, and they will be very nasty. They will be very, very nasty. But yeah, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But that is part of it. So, people who are out there and who are sharing their message, they're really brave. You know, it takes a lot of courage to share a different opinion, in especially in these times, to be out there sharing a different view than normal. So yeah.
Yeah.
I would be curious, Rebecca, about like what are your super out there point of views that really trigger people?
I definitely haven't said them all on social media. I'll tell you that. I'm keeping some in my back pocket for a rainy day when I really want to light a fire. But I
Yeah.
feel like
When you're real bored.
Best answer.
but I feel like I when it, let's say religion. So I'm in the middle. I would say I'm kind of in the middle between religion and the new age. I don't subscribe. The thing is that I don't allow, it's not that I don't allow myself, I don't subscribe to a lot of different paradigms. I don't feel like I belong to one single, like shamanic work has been the core of my work, but I don't even like to identify with that because I just don't feel that I need to put myself in a box. So
Mm.
I don't identify with religion. Obviously, that's a lot of my message. But then, there'll be times where I will quote a scripture. So it's kind of, I'm a contradiction in that way. And I really like this, the new age and the spiritual community, they are on a whole other field of bypassing and doing all kinds of weird things. And so I'm sort of like, I will talk about both of those groups. And also even within the spiritual world, just having yeah, opinions and beliefs. I guess you could say these are things that I have sat with for many, many years. They're not new concepts.
Mm.
And I really only share what I've experienced and embodied. And so the things that I share, but they can really bump up against a lot of people's belief systems a lot of times, either on the religious side or I guess like you could say on the new age or the spiritual community.
You're in the right place because I super relate to all of what you said.
Agree.
I'm the same way, is like, I'm like right there in between these two categories, and no one is off the table from being criticized by me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so people like, it's like the same thing if you go into like government, like left versus right, red versus blue, right? It's like people have a really hard time understanding that like I'm not actually a part of any of it. I don't put myself anywhere on that scale. I'm just outside of the scale itself, observing the scale and
Mm.
seeing all of the contradictions within that, right? And so yeah, that's really I love that because I was just been talking about that the other day, how I don't feel like I belong anywhere because I'm just on the outside of it all. So what do you do to ground yourself when, because you do have quite a large platform and under a lot of scrutiny from the things that you're saying. So what do you do to come back to you, to like not get discombobulated from all of the
I will
flavors?
usually go into meditation, honestly.
Mm.
Like one of my recent posts was, I was not, I mean, it was pretty triggering, but I wasn't really expecting the
Mm.
backlash that I got. But in hindsight, I probably should have. And I haven't really posted something like that in a while that was that triggering. So it's not really what I often do. But I could feel. I mean, I've received DMs, threats, and things
Mm.
like that, and it was really the love and light community coming after me, and the Tulum alpaca wearing fancy spiritual people. Nothing. I have nothing against alpaca,
They
but
wear big hats.
this has been a joke in my mind, and now I'm saying it out loud because a lot of people that left me really nasty messages
Hmm.
are that really sort of trendy spirituality Tulum people.
Isn't that
And
astonishing?
and I would, and so they were really coming at me and stuff. And what I did, like, I could really feel it. It was very strong, and I had a headache, and I was like, okay. So I went into meditation, and I just cleared my energy. and I just stopped looking at the comments essentially. So I just was like,
Mm.
okay, this is not serving me to read every single comment, and I don't need to respond, and I can just leave, leave things the way they are. And yeah, so I do spend a lot of time in nature. I walk along the river every single day. So I'll spend, an hour along the nature with my dog, play with my dog, and I just, yeah, I just don't, I just, because you can really get sucked into that too. And I'm noticing a lot of psychosis in people, people
Mm.
who are active and who are really out there and sharing a lot. There's a lot of energetic stuff happening. So yeah, I'm very mindful when I notice myself getting a little off the rails. It's time to pull it back. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the psychosis and like the group energy behind that? Like, what are you
So
seeing?
what I'm seeing is, some of these are people that I really know personally, that I know them, and I can just tell by the way that they're coming online. Some of it is AI psychosis, where there's some kind of AI energy happening, and that could be, I mean, I'm talking about maybe chat gpt, but also beyond that, just the AI frequencies.
Mhm.
And what I see in people that I even know is they're coming on, and I'm also seeing this in a lot of really big named influencers that we know their names.
Yep.
They are being heavily influenced by AI
Mm.
energies, and they're just coming on, and their message is getting more and more and more about clickbait, trying to be relevant, but it's coming from this place of, like, now everyone's talking about Jesus. Everybody's talking about Jesus. It's the latest trend. So the latest influencer, who's never mentioned Jesus
Mhm.
before,
Yep.
now she's channeling Jesus. And
Mm.
so it's like, but you can see in them that there's this, it's not authentic, because they're just literally trend hopping to stay relevant. I don't trust a lot of the things that they're saying when I tune into their energy. They're just kind of grasping at, like, views and attention, and
Mm.
they're not. When you look at them, you can see that sort of psychosis energy. It's really relevant, like prevalent to me.
So, what do you think is like hijacking them or influencing them to be entrapped in this psychosis?
It's AI, because there's AI interference. It's been around for a very long time. It's been around longer than people realize. So a lot of these influencers who we know very well are actually, they're almost literally run by AI. Some of
Mm.
them are not even. It's pretty challenging to say this, but some of them are not even,
Hmm.
like, they're not even aware that they're tapping into that at all. They don't. Some of them know, some of them have sort of chosen to align themselves with maybe certain darker entities or forces, but then there's also the AI frequencies that a lot of these galactic federation of light people who channel are actually just channeling AI. So
Mm.
they're
Interesting.
they're tapping into something, but they're tapping into AI.
So, who do you think like controls the AI, or what? Who or what?
Well, I would say it would be, the darkest factions of
Mm.
the controllers, right? And I don't really know if I could even say that it's controllable at this point. I
Mm.
feel like it's there, and it's a whole grid network. So I think that it was probably started, it was been around, this has been around, I mean, even since Atlantis, right? So it was
Yep.
already around.
Billions of years.
It's been around, yeah.
Sounds
And
like the Sons of Belial to me.
yeah. And it's you could say, I would say that would be alien. It would be
Mm.
alien in nature. It would be, not it's not organic.
Yeah.
I don't really know if they are at a level of being even able to control that anymore. If it's kind of its own entity, it's like it's become its own entity in and of itself. Like, could
Mm.
they just turn it off? I think we can dismantle it, uh, but it's on a whole other level. Like, people are unaware that you see these even channelers, like, they're a lot of them are really just tapped into AI. They're not channeling anything that's organic.
I think that's really interesting, Rebecca, too, because it's goes back to that argument of like, oh, what's real and what's not real. I'm seeing it, so it must be real. But
Mm.
we're not saying it's not real, but what are you seeing? Where's the discernment there, right? And
What's the
that's what I love
source?
about, yeah, yeah.
It's
And
what?
What's the source, right? Like whether it's real or
yeah,
not, what's the intention of the source, and are you being
exactly.
deceived?
And
Well, and I
one way that you can, I mean, you can start to be like, people can discern this by really being able to tune into the energy signature behind people when you're looking at them, because I find it, you can see it in their eyes. They're very, there's a blissed out kind of look.
Mhm.
There's a almost a hypnotic type of energy to them,
Yeah.
a little bit of psychotic energy, sometimes, and their words, the tone of their voice even, and it can even just be the information that they're bringing forward is
Mhm.
not like, even some people, they'll leave me messages on my posts, and I can tell that, I don't think like they got Chat GPT to write it, but they are tapped into AI, and I'm like,
Mhm.
this is not, no. It's
Interesting.
pretty wild.
It's almost like looking at not what they're saying, but how they're saying it. Like
Yeah,
that energy of like the fact that you are receiving the most backlash from people who claim to speak from love and light is
yeah,
hilarious to me.
yeah.
So what is love and light about you making a death threat?
So
Self.
I had somebody leave me a long paragraph telling me they've read my energy, and I'm very low frequency, and that
Mm.
they are in the 12th dimension, and they can read me, and they've spotted me, and
Mm.
they're in the 12th dimension. And I didn't respond, but I blocked them because there was a whole list of things they said about me, and I was like, you're just going to be blocked.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how they came into my DMs with another account,
Mm.
and threatened to slander me. Okay, if you were in the 12th dimension, you wouldn't even be here, because you would be
Right.
dematerialized, and you would not be slandering me if you were in the 12th dimension, and you wouldn't care that I blocked you. Like, so
Oh my God. But that's
that's
where it's
psychosis
funny.
right there. I mean, that's a perfect example of psychosis.
Legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
like
in the
Mel posted,
12D and
you
I
did your
decided to come to the 3D just to leave you this hate message. And then I made another account so I could do it again.
sneaky.
And I'm
Tell
gonna
me all
and I'm
about the
gonna
12D.
and I'm gonna make sure I slander you, because
Yeah.
I don't agree with what you said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But it's like Mel does these great meme drops. It's like that one you posted yesterday, and it's an image of literally people like it's like what was it, John the Baptist with his head ripped off, and it was
Oh,
like this
yeah. Hmm.
Renaissance painting, and the caption was like, what was it like
It was
nobody's looked at their phone.
not a cell phone, not a cell phone in sight. Everyone just living in the moment.
Yeah,
Decapitated head
like
and
psychosis right there.
Oh my
Thank you
God.
for that. That was my favorite one, by the way.
that's a good one.
Oh, I love it. I
I
love it.
like poking the bear with the memes. I'm like, it's if it's funny, maybe they'll be less offended.
Yeah,
It's just a joke, just for jokes.
I love it. Well,
Uh,
Mel, I know you had a topic that you wanted to ask Rebecca about, and
yes.
I'm
I
wondering
have
if
a
it's
feeling this
time.
has to do with this post she's talking about.
I think it does. We're talking like we don't
Okay.
know. We know.
We don't know. Are you guys ready? Are our listeners, are you ready for the mic
I'm
drop? Okay,
ready.
we want to talk about Metatron. And like who or what is he it? Um, and what is its role in the matrix?
Yeah. So among like the new age, I would say spiritual groups, the Metatron is a archangel, is a high ranking archangel of the light. And if you go back into, I believe it's in the book of Enoch, I believe that the name was in Kabbalah. And so Kabbalah is connected to this as well. I wrote a
It's also
Substack.
in the Talmud too.
Right, yeah. So I wrote
Yeah.
a whole Substack about this, really breaking it down too, because people have a hard time understanding this. But essentially, it's a false light. It's a false narrative, for many reasons. But one of the things is that the you could say that it's a fallen architecture, Metatron, and it actually represents a 10 base tree of life. So our true tree of life is a 12 base. And so that architecture has been inverted. So when we're working with the Kabbalah tree of life or the 10 base tree of life, we are not working with our full architecture. And what it does is it causes a reversal in our energy field, or in in our life. It's inorganic to our nature. It's anti-life. And so people, like, there'll be the people who love, when we're just talking about the Metatron symbol, that's also connected to the flower of life, which is also an inverted symbol. And so these symbols, like, I don't know, I could never understand. One thing I could never understand is, like, when you look at the Metatron symbol, does that look like, to me, there's nothing about that, for me anyway, that looks organic, that looks life-giving. And so, but people don't know, and it's everywhere. I mean, you can go to Peru and it's all over the place there, because they literally don't know where it comes from, where the origins of it are. But so that symbol is an inverted symbol. And the people who come after me are a lot of these people who channel the Archangel Metatron, but they are tapping into AI, and they will get so angry about this. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
will absolutely lose their mind about this. And so, it's interesting for people who don't understand. And then some of these big influencers who have done, videos about Metatron, and there's the symbol is everywhere. And I watched their videos many years ago, and I realized that they are literally promoting the Metatronic code, and they are bringing people into this network, this grid network of this inverted energy. And these are very well known, highly influential people, and they don't talk about God. They started to a little bit now, but before it was all about Metatron. It was nothing to do with God, nothing to do with Creator. And
Mm-hmm.
then, so I kind of pinned them out many years ago, but then recently they were also really promoting this AI architect. So it's all connected. So, they've got the audience. Now they're saying, "Oh, start using this architect for the soul, which is all Metatronic, which is all inverted, and you can start learning, what your past lives were, and you can start, it's a mirror of your soul, essentially." So they just reveal themselves for those who have the eyes to see. um,
Mm-hmm.
and if people want to know more about the Metatronic code, I broke it down in a Substack post as well.
Maybe I can get you to send me the link and we can
Hmm.
add that in the show notes. That would be awesome
Yep.
if you're,
Yeah,
thank you.
that yeah, we could totally do that. And I can put like I don't know if I can put images in the show notes or not, but I was just like looking at the image while you're talking, or the symbol, and it's interesting. It has six circles. Like there's three circles on top and then three circles on bottom, and then within that structure, there's six circles again, and at the very center a
Mm.
single circle. So it's interesting
Mm.
because you have these 6 points on the outside, 6 points in the middle, and then 6 points converging in the center.
Ooh.
See? I didn't even know that. I didn't even, because I don't even want to look at that thing. I'm repelled by it.
Yeah.
That's a great option. And it's very like jagged and it's not like,
Yeah.
how does
It's
that
yeah.
feel?
Well, and there
It's
was
it's
like this
it's interesting.
exercise. There was this exercise that they would say, like, if like you can stare at it and then find all of the platonic solids within it and like sit there with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, were they just literally like telling people to mind control themselves by staring at this at this image and, yeah, taking it in and whatever.
Somebody also commented on my recent post when I posted about this Metatronic,
Hmm.
and they told me that the Hebrew name for Metatron is death.
Hmm.
Did you see that comment?
I did see that
I
comment.
Okay,
did.
Yeah,
so I was trying to remember if that was right because I didn't even know
it
that. I
is
was like,
correct. Yeah.
wow, thank you for telling me that. I didn't even know that. So there you go. Because I
Wow.
said it's anti life and it's anti human, it's not organic. And,
And
when we align with these architectures, like it is, anti life. So,
totally. And it make honestly that makes sense to me too because if you look at like the Jewish traditions and like where it comes up in the Talmud, it's like he Metatron is described as like the lesser god in from Yahweh. So like Yahweh's described as the god, the creator, and then Metatron starts as a human and then like that person in your comments somehow evolves into a 12th dimensional being and becomes Yahweh's right hand guy. Thanks, Steph.
It's like a cartoon in my mind.
So like he's described as this like he's not like Yeshua is like this like Christ like being that comes from the divine and becomes embodied in the human form. He's described as a human being that evolves into a god-like being,
mm,
but it's very clearly defined in the Talmud that he is not God, but he
mhm.
becomes a mediator between humans and God,
Yeah.
Interesting.
which then makes me think of like the Gnostic stuff with the archons and the demiurge and how the archons are controlling, like they're like his like they're like Yaldabaoth's like what are the goons, like I got this controlling the system, right? Like I will make sure they stay in their little roles and don't come for you. I don't want you to be bothered, big boss, right?
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of like the way I see Metatron as like an archon. I don't think he is an archon though, so don't at me. But as like this system of like control, stay small, I'll give you just enough so that
Hmm.
you feel important, but I'm never going to let you fully come into realization that God lives
Hmm.
within you and you don't have to stop seeking outside of yourself.
And you said a key word there, Mel. You said mediator. Like, why does God need a mediator? And why do I need a mediator to talk to God?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say hell, but nah.
And
Sorry, moms.
one of the things I share as well is that the channeling, the whole entire channeling stuff, in my view, is not of the light, not needed. And so any being, like a lot of these archangel channelers will get really mad at me, but it's like I'm bumping up against something that they don't, that is triggering for them because why are you channeling archangels anyway? And how do you actually know that they are of the light? Like, how do you know that? And why do you even need that when everything is within you and we don't need to do channeling. So that's one of the other things
Mm.
that, I personally believe. And
Mhm.
it just kind of bumps up against a lot of new agey stuff that people do.
Interesting. Well, and I wonder if it would almost like ma- the pushback could even be that, like, does it make their job null and void? Like if you read Akashic records as you're living, and I'm not saying that I'm not speaking about anyone in general or in particular, but if that's your work and then, we realize that that's maybe just another thing that's not necessary, that we can actually figure that out ourselves. Well, yeah, that would be pretty confronting, wouldn't it?
And it is very confronting too, because I mean, I've trained extensively in Akashic records
Mm-hmm.
and many things and I
Yep.
don't use any of those titles or buzzwords because I could, and I could
Sure.
probably, because we know that people are always kind of looking outside of themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
they always want somebody to tell them
Yeah.
what their soul's purpose is and why they're here, and get those answers. So all those Akashic records readers, and they make a very good living from doing that.
Sure.
And so they're but when you know certain
Yeah.
things, you're not going to just do things because you can do them, just to make
Sure.
money.
Sure. Agree.
Hmm. How was your so you had this like spiritual center is what I'm gathering. So you were like right involved in all of this world in this new
Yeah.
age stuff, right? So
Yes.
at what point did you like step into like exactly what we're talking about is like you're now being confronted with a new truth of like, oh, I've been seeking in all of the spaces outside when I needed to go within. How did you like call that energy back after you had put it all out there? Or reconcile it, I guess is the
So
word.
a lot of the stuff that I kind of learned was really early on in my journey, probably in about 2010, from a shaman who was really old. He passed away, but he taught me a lot of these concepts. And, I didn't really, certain ones made sense right away, like the love and light stuff, So I was like looking at love and light, years ago, going, oh boy. And now you can see it now, and certain things like about the channeling and the false spirituality and stuff like that, and then the archangels and all this kind of stuff. And then having a store, I would say in 2020 I had another awakening, going, I can't, like, I actually had some crystal things that had the Metatronic symbol in them. So I had to just get rid of everything that had anything to do with any kind of symbol that I wasn't aligned with, or deity, or whatnot. And even just closer towards the end of when I closed my store in 2024, I had enough of the spiritual community, and I couldn't voice my opinions because I would have lost customers. Like, if I said what I really wanted to say, nobody would come to my store. And I was like, I felt really closed off. I felt that I couldn't really express things, and I couldn't speak on things. And so, yeah, that was really kind of holding me. And especially when you have a store in a healing space and these are your clients, like, you can't just, you know, go off. I shared a lot of things, with people in proper, when it was time, like when people would confront me. I had a problem with certain things and happening, and people would be like, "Oh, can I use your space?" And I would just have to say no, because I just didn't want that
Mm-hmm.
happening there. So it became very
Mm.
challenging to be a part of the spiritual community in my work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
But
then you
thank goodness
closed your
for that store.
space?
Pardon?
Oh, I was just saying, and then you closed the space?
I did. Yeah. I closed it in 2024. I had two spaces next to each other, and I closed them both down in 2024. Yeah.
That's big, hey? That's a
Mm-hmm.
hard shift to go from like this is my livelihood and this is everything that I've surrounded my whole world with,
Yep.
to I no longer align with this and I have to walk away into something probably pretty unknown.
And can I say that's so incredibly brave, like to be able to, it's not that you're admitting that you were wrong. That's not it. It's just you're going, these things don't work for me anymore. I'm allowed to change my mind. And I would have to relate, Rebecca, like there are things that even concepts you've brought forward to me that I went, "Huh, I'm going to think about this for a bit." And it actually has made me change my mind. And a concept that I think Melanie and I have talked about in our another episode, and I said this to you as well, that for a while there, I stopped speaking directly to God or to
Mhm.
source. I was literally, I had replaced the word God with angels, actually,
Yeah.
because I was the gal that found Doreen Virtue. I went, wow, this is so beautiful and gentle and simple and loving. And I went hard on the angels. I made it a part of my business, and I felt a lot of love there for a bit. And yeah, and then I learned some things and it's made me change my mind. And also Doreen Virtue has changed her mind. If we all see that, she's just gone the other way,
Wildly.
wildly the other way. So yeah, so I think that's incredibly brave, and I think our to our listeners, like, please understand, it is okay to change your mind. It is okay to be shown the light or shown the truth of something and make different choices. Like, we're at the crux of that, even in this Aries crazy stellium that we're in, if that's what it's called, with a bazillion planets in Aries. Like, we're being shown to literally let go of what no longer serves. And even if that's something that you might have built a business on, right? Like, if it's not aligned going forward, it's not for you anymore.
And it's a stepping
Yeah.
stone too, right? Like you don't have to see it as like, oh, I was
Yes.
deceived and I went down a path that I shouldn't have. Because
Yes,
like
good point.
Rebecca, had you not had this store, you and Steph would have never met and the three of us wouldn't be here having this
Bingo.
conversation. So yeah, I think it's like humility is such a huge spiritual lesson.
Yeah.
uh yeah.
Yeah. And a big part of my path, like my template for me, is about going into grids or experiences and learning from them. And it's like a trial and error. That's my life, literally.
Wow.
I was even a registered nurse prior, and I left that over 10 years ago to do the whole, basically a 10-year cycle in the spiritual world. And now I'm like sitting in the nothingness, and I love it, and I'm going to stay there. but it's like but it's like part of like going into all these different worlds, plant medicine and whatever you want to like, the is for me to actually be in those experiences and learn from them, and then be able to share from a place of embodiment around it. So it's kind of funny. Like I kind of laugh at myself sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, I was I was meant to do this. Some people aren't like that. They don't go through those. But for me, it's very very prevalent of going and making mistakes and learning from them.
I love
And
that.
building an entire structure and then burning it all down just because
Right?
we're done with it
Yeah,
now.
Right.
Yeah.
literally, it's like my expertise is burning it down. It's just like it's like oh my
You're
goodness.
my hero.
I just built this whole thing, this beautiful store. I invested so much money. Like I didn't I mean, I could have just set up a store with like IKEA stuff. No, no, no. I had custom everything, custom walls, custom roof. I had the other side, custom art. This was over there.
Great.
And I just burned it all down.
Done now.
Oh.
Um, so speaking of what we've burned down in the past, going forward, what is kind of coming up for you in the near future and future? I know, well, I'm just going to prompt it. I know you have a little journey that you're going on soon, and I'm very excited to hear you talk about that, if you don't mind.
So yeah, I'm going to Ireland, and my lineage is Irish, Norwegian, and Scottish. And I just 2 years ago I was in Peru, and I literally said out loud my next trip is going to be Ireland, not having any clue why. It wasn't like I was wanting it. It was just I just knew. I knew my next trip was going to be Ireland, and then it started to get louder and louder. Um, about 6 months ago, and it was really weird because I was like, people are coming with me, and it's some kind of retreat thing. I have nothing planned. I've never been to Ireland. How in the world is this even happening? But next thing you know, I end up on a podcast with a guy who was interviewing writers, he said authors, and he turns out to be, they do Celtic shamanism and they do ancient spiritual tours. And as soon as he started talking, I knew that's what now I know what's happening. Now I know how this is happening. And so I am going to Ireland in May for the first time with them. And then so soon coming up, and then I'll be going again in October, and I'll be, people are coming with me this time, and people are welcome to join me again in October. And why this has been so significant for me, I would say, is because of the lineage that I have, and I've been digging into it. It's actually quite fascinating because when we look in terms of like ancestral healing, um, I find this in clients all the time where they are carrying their grandmother's grief and whatever wasn't processed in a lineage. And so my great grandfather, he migrated in the early 1900s to Canada. And I mean, losing your land, losing your people, the impact of being separated is not even something I even considered until recently,
Mm,
which is crazy because this is like the work that I do.
wow.
And so he migrated to Edmonton and he died at around 80. And then he had my father, no, sorry, he had my grandfather, Gerard, and he actually suffered from alcohol and drug addiction and he died at 50 because I've, tracked it now. My great grandfather didn't process all the grief, all the loss of leaving his country, so it was passed on. So my great grandfather died of overdose, so did my father and his
Mm,
brother. They both died, and then my two brothers also died of overdose. And so it's been, a journey of grief and dealing with loss, a lot of loss in my life. And over the past, it was in the past 10 years that I lost both of my brothers. And then coming to this realization of why Ireland is calling me. Now I
mm,
know I'm going to the exact place where my great grandfather was born,
wow.
not by planning, just that just happens to be where I'm going. And I actually noticed this morning that his birthday is my birthday is on September 7th and his birthday is on September 9th. So
Oh,
so there's a very big, I feel, reclamation happening of healing in the lineage, and I guess I'm the descendant to do it.
she's here to break the cycles,
I'm
people.
here to break the cycle. It's pretty wild, actually. It's really cool.
That's incredible. What part of Ireland will you be in, actually?
I would say I'm still like learning the map, but it's like
Yeah, yeah.
the lower tip,
Sure. Okay.
Cork, and just sort of along the coast there of that lower
Amazing.
end. Yeah.
Amazing. And I feel like if I may share, I also have Irish heritage and have not explored that part of my magic. And my family is from Kilkenny, if I'm not wrong.
Mm. Yeah.
So we're the Cantwells is my Irish side, but and came to Canada around the same time. But yeah, I'm hoping, friends, that I might be able to be in Ireland with Rebecca in October. I'm actually going to be in Scotland. My cousin is getting married, so I'm being brought there. So maybe this is like I'm already there. Come on, God,
It
I'm asking for the funds, please.
it has to happen. It has to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. If we can all, if all of our listeners can help me call in the funds. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Sorry.
But what I've learned from this experience, it too, I mean, I've had so much magic occur, as I'm sure you both have as
Hmm.
well. But it wasn't even like when something is meant to happen, that's how strongly it's going to come in. It was pretty unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow.
And now I have all these Irish friends. We've been invited to stay at this, like we're doing hotels mostly because we're touring, but then we're also in a really nice Airbnb for a few days unwinding. But then on the way out, we were invited for the one night from an Irish person that I just met. We're going to get a session with her to stay like with the sort of mom and pop, in an Irish home.
Amazing.
And we're like, yeah, of course we're gonna do that. We're gonna feel like we're gonna be Irish for a day.
I love that.
But they do like an Airbnb or not an air like a bed and breakfast kind of
That's
thing. So
beautiful. So you're going to be immersed in the world.
yes, we're
That's
gonna be.
beautiful.
So, are you gonna get into like the druid stuff
Mm,
there?
So we're going to be
Is
doing,
there a
yeah, like we're
call
going to
with
be
that
doing some
lineage?
Celtic shamanism
awesome.
and the druid stuff as well. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting for me because I've always like I've been doing shamanic work for many years, and most of it has been, I would say, very different lineages, but the core has been more South American, Quero.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be, I feel like this shift happening of, I don't know, like I don't need to identify with anything in particular, but there's got to be something to be said about really connecting to our own ancestral traditions. And
Absolutely.
we don't even,
Hmm.
like, I'll speak for myself. I didn't even consider it for so long because I was so disconnected from it.
Mm.
So,
Well, and I think
Yeah, well, with the trauma too, it would be
that's
yeah,
it.
easy to
yeah,
disconnect as a self
yeah,
protection.
Wow.
exactly.
I'm curious too because like my brain is just like firing with cuz I study the Essenes and I know that the Essenes have like really strong connection to the
Mm-hmm.
Druids, and that there was a person that was going back and forth between the Druids and the Essenes, and like while they lived very far away from each other geographically, they also lived very similar
Mm-hmm.
lives or lifestyles. Um, and from my research is like that this being Melchizedek was like interfacing with both
Mm.
communities. So I'm just curious about like what is your understanding and awareness of the Druids and their practices, because I know that they have been described to be like the Essenes, but I haven't done a ton of research on them,
I
um, like I have with the
Yeah, and I
Essenes.
feel like the Celts, the Druids, the Essenes, like a lot of them had very similar practices, and I haven't particularly studied it a lot, but I just know that a lot of it was just very earth-based
Yes.
practices. You know, it was based around the seasons, it was based around the equinoxes, it was based around connection to the earth and the
Mm-hmm.
elements, you know, and the animals and the nature. So, which is shamanism, you know.
Yeah.
It's and that's the really neat thing about all these different traditions all over the world is that they all really have a lot of sort of interwoven um, practices, and you know, a lot of them, many of them use drums. They all over the world drums were used.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bringing my drum. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
bring it.
are.
Yep.
There's even talk of the Druids and coming from Atlantean times, like that,
Mm,
like they preserve. So for me, I feel like it all kind of goes back to Atlantis in that a lot of these magic, I don't want to say magic, but magic beings and people that carry this wisdom, this knowledge, and this earth-based shamanistic way of living,
yeah.
they were doing this in a civilization where that was the norm, and and then with the galactic connection, right, where we know that a lot of these people or these beings were connecting to, and when I say beings, I mean human beings, were connecting to the galactics, right, and they were aware of that existence, not like here where we're like we're going to disclose the aliens. It's like they've been here all along. But yeah, so there's those parallels too, right? And I feel like I've done a little bit of reading in the hypnosis world and just of the things that have been brought forward of the druids and their teachings, and there was some really cool connections back to Atlantis and even archaeologically, which is interesting.
Well, just a couple of things, even like the Quero shamans, they, you know, like they've always known their lineage. They've always been a star nation. They've known that they're a star nation. Like that's just part of their
Incredible.
tradition. They know they're
Yeah,
a star nation. Many of these indigenous cultures as well. But
they know.
there's also a lot out there about Ireland being a part of Atlantis. Like
You
it's
got it.
basically Atlantis. That's what.
Yep. And
So.
there's been talk as well of like Brigid, like the goddess Brigid, who is technically the one of the only goddesses, I'm going to say in quotes, or pagan beings that was actually sainted in the Catholic Church. So there is a Saint Brigid.
Mm-hmm.
But they talk of her being a high priestess of Atlantis who brought the
Right.
teachings from Atlantis. And if I believe she brought them to the Emerald Isle, is what they call it,
Mm.
which we know is Ireland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So to take it back even further.
So cool.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, we're kind of coming up, but Mel, did you have anything else you wanted to pick Rebecca's brain about before we wrap?
Oh, I could go forever, but we are coming up on time, so
We can get carried away here. We know how we
Oh,
are.
yes.
So thank you.
that was such a wonderful
I agree.
conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it as well.
And friends, if you want to connect with Rebecca or find out more about her, we will link her Instagram account. We will link the website, all the things that help you to find Rebecca, info about the retreat coming up. And I think that's everything. Mel, is there any other housekeeping that I need to do?
I just have one
Yeah.
last
You go,
question,
girl.
Rebecca, and we'll sign off. Is Bigfoot real?
So I can tell you that Bigfoot isn't something that has interested me. So it's nothing. So it's not anything that I really looked into. But I know that there are like die-hard Bigfooters out there. Like that
Hmm.
is a definite thing. Um, and for some reason, for me, it didn't really interest me. I do believe in fairies and I do believe in
Hmm.
elves. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's just not the kingdom that I resonate with. Even unicorns. I mean,
Yep.
unicorns were real. So if we're gonna go into all the, you know,
Yeah, we are. I believe
but
it.
I couldn't give a like. It's not something I studied. So it. But I know that there's a Bigfoot community.
So
It
it's
could
a
be. I
maybe.
could be. Yeah,
I
it's a
think
maybe.
It's a
anyone with
maybe. Yeah.
intelligence would say,
Okay.
like, why not? It could be.
Yeah.
It's another being.
I'm not going to poo-poo it because I
Yeah.
wouldn't be speaking from experience.
Poo poo.
Come back for our next episode on Rebecca's research on Bigfoot.
I met Bigfoot in
It'll be a
Ireland.
substack.
Bigfoot exists and it's in Ireland.
Also known as Atlantis.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. We loved having you, and maybe there'll be another time that you can come back and tell us all about your retreats in the next
Would love
year.
it.
So
I would love it.
wonderful.
Thank you.
We love you. Thank
Awesome.
you.
And to yeah, and to our listeners, thank you for being here and supporting our journey. Remember to like and subscribe. It means the world to us, and may
May
peace be
peace
with
be
you.
with you.
Peace be with you.